This morning, the hallway tiles staged an intervention. I was pacing with my customary existential wobble when I noticed the grout lines arrowing straight toward the kitchen, specifically toward the muffin I'd promised myself for finishing yesterday's edit. I pointed the camera down the corridor and, sure enough, those parallel seams guided my shot and my appetite like motivational speakers in beige. That's the beauty of leading lines. The world quietly arranges a visual pep talk saying, "Step this way, friend, the carbs are that a direction." I followed, filmed, and finally arrived at breakfast feeling purposeful instead of lost. Later, whenever doubt crept in, I glanced at the footage and remembered sometimes you just need a floor tile or two to point out the obvious path forward. Thanks, grout therapists. Around noon, I set up a shot of my neighbour's cat, Sir Reginald Fluffington III, majestically sunbathing on my porch. I stood inside, shooting through the doorway, and realised the doorframe was politely wrapping the scene like a rectangular armchair. A frame within a frame feels like the visual equivalent of being tucked into bed by someone who also brings snacks. It says, "Don't worry, the big wide world is out there, but here you're snug as a bug with well-defined borders." I tested it further, filming Reggie through the doorway and the window beyond him. Triple nesting dolls of coziness. My anxiety levels plummeted so fast I considered charging admission for porch therapy. Whenever life feels boundaryless, I rewatch that clip. 2 sturdy wooden uprights, a lintel, and a chonky cat in the middle. Honestly, the best hug I've had all week. I declared the afternoon a meeting-free zone. Shockingly, the earth kept spinning. To commemorate this radical act of idleness, I filmed the corner of my living room where absolutely nothing happens. Blank wall, a single potted aloe, and a sunbeam napping across the floorboards. That blankness did something to me. With no action to chase, my brain finally put its feet up and accepted the aloe's silent invitation to just photosynthesize feelings. Negative space in a frame whispers, "You don't have to be perpetually interesting to be worthy of screen time." I breathed out so long I nearly deflated. Then I titled the clip "Zen and the Art of Existing Verbless" and gave myself 5 stars. Highly recommend. 1 daily dose of nothingness, lightly salted with sunlight. Side effects may include lowered blood pressure and smug serenity. Golden hour again, and I wandered to the park with my wide-angle lens. I set the aperture high so the bench in front, the soccer field mid-ground, and the mountain range way back yonder were all crisp like fresh sheets. Reviewing the footage, I noticed details I'd missed in real time. A toddler wrestling a balloon, teenagers practicing synchronized eye rolls, and a squirrel so meticulously burying an acorn it looked like it was itemizing deductions. Deep focus is a friendly reminder that when myopically doom-scrolling, there's still a horizon doing horizon things. Seeing everything in focus makes me feel connected, like every pixel is holding hands, singing Kumbaya in 4K. I left the park feeling delightfully small and simultaneously involved in the entire cosmic group project. Thank you, Tiny Aperture. You're a wide-eyed optimist, and I love that for us. Night, desk lamp on, the world outside was a noisy circus of unpaid parking tickets. I needed tunnel vision, so I opened the lens wide, letting the background melt into creamy oblivion. Front and center, my ceramic hedgehog mug, steam curling like an introvert at a party. Behind it, nothing but dreamy blur, tax documents, laundry pile, and existential dread, all dissolved into soft bokeh polka dots. Shallow focus is basically noise cancelling for eyeballs. It politely says, "We acknowledge the chaos exists, but we choose to focus on this one comforting hedgehog sipping opportunity." As I filmed the rising steam, the rest of the day unfocused itself right out of my bloodstream. Sip, sigh, repeat. Eventually, even the mug got blurry, but that might have been the chamomile working its sleepy magic. I was having a perfectly nice Tuesday until my brain decided to replay the incident from 2009, where I waved at a stranger who was actually waving at the person behind me. The cringe was physical. It stung. I needed to outrun it. I put on a symphony movement marked Allegro. The tempo was brisk, bright, and relentless. It demanded movement. I started power walking down the sidewalk to the beat. Left, right, left, right. The memory tried to keep up. "But remember how you smiled?" it whispered, but the violins were faster. "Can't hear you," the tempo shouted. "We are moving at 120 beats per minute. We are a blur of productivity and denial." It was exhilarating. The sheer velocity of the music forced my brain to focus on not tripping rather than dwelling on the past. By the time I reached the end of the block, I was breathless and memory-free. I had literally left my embarrassment in the dust, sped along by the string section. The universe felt very big, and I felt very small, and the hum of the refrigerator was starting to sound like a countdown. I needed to turn the volume of reality down. I put on an ambient playlist titled something like Drifting in Space. There were no drums, there were no lyrics, just long, sustained synthesizer pads that sounded like glowing clouds. It was sonic aromatherapy. The music didn't try to fix my problems, it just diffused them. Shh, the synth whispered. So what if you don't know what you're doing with your life? Look at this pretty sound wave. It wrapped my existential dread in a soft, fuzzy blanket until the fear stopped shaking and just started vibing. I lay on the carpet and stared at the ceiling fan. I wasn't worrying anymore, I was just buffering. And honestly, being a buffering spinning wheel in a warm room is a perfectly valid state of being. It was 2:30 p.m. I had eaten a sandwich. The sandwich was heavy. My ambition, which had been soaring at 9 a.m., was now looking for a place to land. I thought of the glissando, that moment when a pianist runs their fingernail down the keys, sliding from high to low in one smooth swoosh. It was the perfect soundtrack for my afternoon slump. I felt myself sliding off the peak of productivity. Instead of fighting it, I decided to enjoy the ride. A glissando isn't a crash, it's a controlled descent. It's a musical zip line. I mentally slid down the scale of energy, past drafting emails, past organizing files, and landed softly on staring at a bird outside. I had hit the bottom note. It was cozy down here. The glissando reminded me that gravity applies to motivation too, and sometimes you just have to enjoy the slide down to the couch. I was frustrated. The Wi-Fi was lagging, and I had stubbed my toe. I felt a tantrum brewing, but tantrums are for toddlers, art is for adults. So I channeled my inner flamenco dancer. I stood up, arched my back, and glared at the router with intense, smoldering passion. I initiated a zapateado, a rhythmic stomping of the heels. It felt incredible. I wasn't just an annoyed person in socks. I was a fiery performer expressing the tragedy of modern connectivity. I stomped out my irritation, I clapped with the force of a thunderclap, and then I saw it, a spider near the baseboard. With one final, dramatic, rhythmic stomp, the spider was gone, and the song was over. I held my pose, breathing heavily. I had converted my rage into art and pest control. Ole. I am notoriously bad at ending conversations. I'm the person who says bye and then walks in the same direction as you for 3 more blocks. That is why I envy the cadence. In music, a cadence is that distinct sequence of chords that acts like a period at the end of a sentence. When a perfect, authentic cadence hits, the big V to I resolution, it's the sonic equivalent of clicking a pen shut and putting it in your pocket. Done, finished, satisfaction. But sometimes life gives you a deceptive cadence. You think the song is over, you start to clap, and suddenly the band veers off into a minor chord, staring at you judgmentally. It's like thinking the Zoom meeting has ended, but then hearing just one more thing. Still, listening to these endings taught me that closure comes in many forms. Sometimes it's a slam dunk, and sometimes it's a comma that leaves you hanging. I'm learning to be okay with the probably part of the happy ending. As long as the song eventually stops, I can finally go eat my lunch. I am a creature of habit. I order the same sandwich, sit in the same chair, and generally fear any variable that I haven't pre-approved in triplicate. Modulation, however, makes change feel like a superpower. You know that moment in a power ballad where the singer stands up from the piano, grabs the microphone, and everything suddenly shifts up? That's modulation. It's a key change that hits your soul like a double shot of espresso. It's the audacity of it that inspires me. The music doesn't ask for permission to change its perspective, it just pivots. It feels like walking down a grey street and suddenly deciding, you know what, the sky is purple now, deal with it. Listening to it gives me a contact high of confidence. If a song can abandon G major for a major without filing any paperwork, maybe I can handle switching from regular milk to oat milk without an identity crisis. It's a fresh coat of paint on the same old melody, reminding me that a little shift in perspective can make everything feel brand new. A middle C is a middle C, technically speaking, but played on a flute, it's a gentle breeze. Played on an electric guitar with a distortion pedal, it's a teenage rebellion. This is timbre, pronounced timbre, which I always forget, calling it timber, like a falling tree. It's the texture of the sound. I started thinking about my own timbre. My morning voice has the timbre of a cement mixer full of gravel, while my talking to a cute dog voice has the timbre of a helium balloon. Recognizing timbre is an exercise in appreciating the specific stuff things are made of. The oboe sounds nasal and intellectual, like a duck with a PhD. The cello sounds like warm velvet that has seen some tragedy. It made me realize that I don't need to change my tune to fit in. I just need to appreciate the instrument I'm playing. My voice might be more kazoo than Steinway, but hey, kazoos are excellent at parties. We are all just different textures in the same orchestra, and honestly, we probably all need a little moisturizer. I usually live my life at mezzo piano, moderately soft. I don't like to disturb the neighbors, and I apologize to furniture when I bump into it. But dynamics taught me that volume is a landscape, not a flat line. I listened to a symphony that started at a whisper, pianissimo, so quiet I had to stop chewing my toast to hear it. It forced me to lean in, to pay attention. It proved that you don't have to shout to be important. Then, without warning, the orchestra exploded into fortissimo. It scared the cat, but it also scrubbed my brain clean. It was a sonic thunderstorm. We need both. If life were loud all the time, we'd go deaf. If it were quiet all the time, we'd fall asleep. Dynamics are the emotional volume knob. They remind me that it's okay to have loud days where I cry over a commercial or laugh until I wheeze, and quiet days where my biggest achievement is successfully making tea. Both volumes are valid parts of the song. I used to think perfection meant unison, everyone doing the exact same thing at the exact same time, like a synchronized swimming team of robots. Then I experienced heterophony, and I realized that messy is just another word for rich. I was listening to a folk recording where 3 musicians were playing the same melody, but not quite. The flute added a little trill, the fiddle dragged the beat slightly, and the singer skipped a note to take a breath. It was exactly like my family singing Happy Birthday. Aunt Linda thinks she's at the Met. My dad is mumbling because he forgot the name of the person we're celebrating, and I'm just trying to reach the high note without cracking. Technically, it's a disaster. Emotionally, it's a masterpiece. Heterophony taught me that we can all walk down the same road or sing the same tune without having to match our stride perfectly. The beauty isn't in the precision, it's in the fact that we're all heading in the same general direction, adding our own personal seasoning to the potluck of the song. Sometimes living inside my own head feels like a monologue in an empty theatre. I say, I am stressed, and the echo says, stressed, stressed, stressed. This is why call and response is the ultimate emotional balm. I listened to a track where a saxophone shouted out a bluesy phrase, and a trumpet section immediately shouted back. It was a conversation. The sax asked, "Is anyone else tired?" And the trumpets replied, "Yes, but we have snacks." It felt like sending a text to a group chat and seeing those 3 little dots appear instantly. It's the reassurance that you aren't shouting into the void. The music reminded me that for every question I have, be it existential or just where did I put my keys, there is a response waiting. It might come from a friend, a pet, or just a really good guitar solo, but the universe is listening and it usually has something catchy to say back. I sat down to do my taxes. It was a serious moment for serious adults. But then it arrived. The hook. It was a bouncy, glittery fragment of a pop song from 2012, and it moved into my brain without signing a lease. It set up a hammock in my hippocampus and started juggling. "Please," I told the hook, "I am calculating deductibles." "Nah," the hook replied, "we're going to loop the phrase, 'ooh, baby, yeah,' for the next 4 hours." At first I fought it, but then I realized the hook was actually a tiny serotonin-producing philanthropist. It wasn't distracting me, it was keeping me afloat. While my hands typed numbers, my brain was at a beach party. The hook is that friend who shows up uninvited, eats your food, but makes you laugh so hard you forget you were grumpy. I decided to let it stay. It wasn't paying rent, but the vibes were immaculate. I love experimental art, I do. But on a Tuesday afternoon when it's raining and I've spilled coffee on my socks, I don't want a 20-minute avant-garde flute solo that sounds like a bird in distress. I want verse-chorus form. I want the musical equivalent of a grilled cheese sandwich. I put on a classic rock song. Verse 1 told me a story, the setup. The chorus hit me with the big emotional payoff, the hug. Verse 2 gave me more details, the gossip. The chorus came back, the hug again. It is a structure that never ghosts you. You know exactly where you stand. You know that no matter how wandering the verse gets, the chorus is waiting around the corner with open arms and a catchy melody you already know. It grounded me. In a life full of plot twists I didn't ask for, verse-chorus form is the reliable buddy who says, "Don't worry, I know the way home. It's right after the bridge." I didn't have the budget for a professional dolly track, but I did have a hardwood floor and a very fluffy bath mat. I placed the camera on a stack of books, placed the books on the mat, and placed myself in a crouching position that my yoga instructor would describe as questionable. My goal? To push in smoothly on a steaming mug of cocoa. I nudged the mat forward with my nose. The camera glided. It didn't bounce or shake, it simply floated closer to the chocolatey objective. A dolly shot is a commitment. You aren't just looking at the subject, you are traveling toward it. It's a physical journey into the heart of the moment. As the mug filled the frame, larger than life and smelling like heaven, I felt a sense of arrival. I had reached the destination. The destination was sugar. It was a good journey. My robot vacuum, whom I have affectionately named Sir Dust-A-Lot, began his daily patrol. I decided to give him the hero treatment. I walked alongside him, camera held low, matching his frantic little speed. When he turned left, I turned left. When he bumped into the sofa and got confused, I stopped and waited respectfully while he recalculated his life choices. The tracking shot is the ultimate act of loyalty. It says, "I am with you, through the crumbs, through the cat hair, through the inexplicable collisions with walls. I am your witness." Watching the footage back, Sir Dust-A-Lot looked purposeful. He looked like a protagonist on a mission. It reminded me that we all need a friend to walk alongside us, even when we're just spinning in circles, trying to find the charging station. I wanted to feel epic. I wanted that sweeping, movie ending feeling where the camera flies up into the sky and the music swells. Lacking a mechanical crane, I attached the camera to my monopod, held it with 2 hands, and performed a deep squat. My knees popped a little percussion beat. "And action," I whispered. I slowly stood up, lifting the pole higher and higher until my arms were trembling, reach for the stars style. On the screen, the view of my backyard transformed. The camera swept up from the grass, past the fence, up into the canopy of the oak tree. For 10 seconds, I wasn't a person with sore deltoids. I was a bird. I was a drone. I was limitless. The crane shot lifts you out of the mundane and reminds you that if you stretch, literally and metaphorically, the view is breathtaking. I lowered the camera, rubbed my shoulders, and felt grand. Life is shaky. The coffee spills, the schedule changes, the cat throws up. But the Steadicam doesn't care. I put the camera on my stabilizer, a gimbal that counteracts my human clumsiness. Then I practiced the Steadicam walk, knees bent, heel to toe, looking ridiculous but moving like a ghost. I chased my niece around the playground. She was running, screaming, a blur of chaos. I was running too, tripping over mulch. But on the monitor, smooth sailing, we were floating. The world was chaotic, but the image was serene. "I got this," the stabilizer hummed in my hands. It's a mechanical lesson in emotional regulation. The ground may be uneven, and I may be out of breath, but if I keep my knees bent and my grip loose, I can glide through the turbulence. I am a hovercraft of Zen in a playground of chaos. I held the stick, a long satin ribbon pulled at my feet like a sleeping snake. The music began, light, airy, orchestral, and I flicked my wrist. The ribbon woke up. It shot into the air, a streak of red lightning. My job was simple, keep it moving. If the ribbon stopped, it died. I ran. The ribbon trailed behind me in a perfect spiral. I felt like I was drawing on the sky. I swirled it around my body in a cocoon, feeling the soft fabric brush my arms. It was hypnotic, but it was also a workout. My wrist was doing rapid-fire circles while my legs leaped and turned. "Don't trip on it," I reminded myself as the ribbon looped dangerously close to my ankles. I snapped it into a serpent shape, watching the waves travel down the fabric. I felt magical. I was a wizard casting spells with satin, turning invisible currents of air into visible art. I crouched down, staring at the furry, sequined pants of my partner. "Ready?" he asked from inside the giant papier-mâché head. "Ready," I grunted. I was the back legs. The drums started, a loud, clanging rhythm meant to scare away bad luck. I bent over, gripping my partner's waist. We were now a lion. He blinked the lion's eyes, click-clack, and wiggled its ears. I shook my hips, giving the tail a sassy wag. We moved forward in a crouched shuffle. Then came the jump. Up, he shouted. I lifted him. He stood on my thighs. For a moment, we were a towering, majestic beast. The crowd cheered, my quads screamed. Inside the costume, it was hot, dark, and smelled of sweat and bamboo. But outside, we were mythical. We were luck incarnate. We pounced, we scratched, and we brought joy to the village, one synchronized squat at a time. I held the pole. Ahead of me were 9 other people holding poles. Behind me were 9 more. Above us floated a 50-foot-long dragon made of silk and mirrors. "Follow the pearl," the leader shouted, chasing the dancer holding the orb at the front. The drums rolled. We ran. The key to dragon dance is flow. If I moved too early, the dragon looked broken. If I moved too late, the dragon looked drunk. We had to move as a wave. Figure 8. We wove in and out, the dragon's body twisting into a knot. I ducked under the pole of the person in front of me, praying I wouldn't trip and derail the entire mythical creature. It was chaos management. We ran in spirals, the dragon chasing its own tail. My arms burned from holding the pole high, but looking up at the undulating, shimmering beast above me, I felt a swell of pride. We were 20 people breathing as one lung, moving as one spine, bringing a legend to life. I stood in formation, white boots gleaming, holding my baton like a scepter. The marching band whistle blew, tweet, and the snare drums kicked in. This wasn't just dancing, this was military precision with sparkle. Twirl. I spun the baton. It was a blur of silver. I tossed it into the air. For a terrifying second, it was free, spinning against the blue sky. I didn't look up, I just held out my hand, and smack. It landed in my palm. Strut, we marched, high knees, pointed toes. I switched to pom-poms, shaking them with enough vigor to generate wind power. It was aggressive cheerfulness. We were a unit. We moved in perfect grids, lines dissolving and reforming. I felt sharp. I felt snappy. It was the joy of absolute order, of being one perfect cog in a glittering, high-kicking machine.